Indiana Jones and the Lost Treasure of Sheba. Written by Rose Estes, illustrated by David B. Mattingly, and read for you by Daniel Estes. Get ready for a dazzling adventure with Indiana Jones. It is 1938. Dr. Roger Ballentyne has found what appears to be a map to the fabulous, long-lost treasure of the Queen of Sheeba. Dr. Ballentyne's latest project, a new diamond laser capable of cutting through the hardest materials in a fraction of a second, has attracted the attention of the fascist forces occupying Ethiopia. They kidnap him in an attempt to possess the treasure and the laser. You are George Ballentyne, the doctor's 14-year-old son. You will embark on an incredible journey to Ethiopia with Indiana Jones, the world's greatest adventurer. A foreboding desert, hostile natives, and the armed might of the fascists await you. If you make the right choices, you will save your father and find the treasure. If you make the wrong choices, you, your father, and Indiana Jones will never be heard from again. Good luck. For Tom, best friend and colleague, R.E. It was 10:30 on a windy fall evening. I was nodding over my Italian lessons when suddenly I heard my father cry out in pain. I threw my bathrobe on and hurried into the hall. My hand was on the doorknob to my father's room when I heard a heavily accented voice say, "I want those blueprints, Doctor. Your laser is essential to us. We will do whatever is necessary to obtain them. If you refuse to help us, the consequences for you and your family will be serious. Melke, fetch the boy." I snatched my hand back and ducked into the hall closet just as the door opened. A tall, slender man with blue tattoos on his face entered the hall. He moved in my direction, and his heavily lidded gold eyes seemed to look straight at me. My heart was pounding so hard I was sure he would hear, but he only turned and crept silently towards my room. My absence would be discovered within seconds. If I was to get help, I had to leave, and fast. Gathering my courage, I darted into the study, grabbed the pouch with the top-secret laser blueprints, and slipped out the front door. Behind me, there was an angry yell. I ran for the elevator, dashed in, and punched the lobby button. The apartment door flew open, and the man with the tattooed face rushed into the hall. For one long second, we stared at each other, and then the elevator doors slid shut. I rushed out of the elevator the second the doors opened and crashed into a man who stood in my path. "Why don't you look where you're going?" he growled. His darkly tanned face looked oddly familiar, and after a hasty apology I asked, "Aren't you an archaeologist? Isn't your name Missouri or Mississippi or something like that?" The man examined me with bright blue eyes. "Close, kid. The name's Indiana Jones, but I don't know you." "George Ballentyne," I said. "Dr. Roger Ballentyne is my father, and he's in danger." Then I tried to explain to him what was happening upstairs. "Doesn't sound good," growled Jones. "I'll go upstairs. You find a cop." "But, Mr. Jones, they're dangerous." "Don't worry about me, kid. I'll be just fine." And he strode into the elevator. Clutching the pouch tightly, I hurried into the street. It took me several minutes to find a policeman, and even longer to persuade him to follow me. As the doors to our elevator opened on my floor, my fears were realized. The door to our apartment was wide open. I ran through the apartment calling my father's name. There was no answer, except for a low moan of pain. And there, sprawled on the floor, was Indiana Jones. Later, after the police had finished filling out their forms, Jones and I sat at the dining room table. "I told you they were dangerous," I said. "Okay, kid. So, I made a little mistake," said Jones as he helped himself to my father's scotch. "If I had waited for the cops, they would have gotten away. This way, I got a good look at them, and they didn't get the blueprints or the map." "Map? You know about the map?" "Sure. Why do you think I was here?" Jones pulled an oilskin pouch out of his stained leather jacket. Then, scraping everything off the table, he opened the map and spread it wide. Ethiopia, the kingdom of Sheba, he said, stabbing its yellow surface with a tanned finger. You know about your father's interest in archaeology. Well, he found this map a year ago, and I've been studying it. It's authentic, all right. Unfortunately, your father lives in his own little dream world, like most scientists. I could hardly believe it when I read this month's scientific journal. Do you realize he wrote about his work on the new diamond laser and the treasure of Sheba, all in the same article? That's like putting an ad in the Sunday paper saying, "Come kidnap me." Doesn't he have any idea what's happening in the world? Ethiopia has been overrun by fascists, and they're desperate for anything that will help them with their war effort, like your father's laser. And if they can have the treasure of Sheba, so much the better. They'll have all the diamonds they need for the laser, and they'll fill the war chests, too. Well, what are we going to do? We aren't going to do anything. You stay here. I go to Ethiopia. You're not going without me. Don't be stupid, Joan said. What would I do with a kid? You'd be nothing but trouble. I tried to speak calmly. Mr. Jones, do you speak Italian? Well, no, but I do speak Pidgin African. I speak Italian, Mr. Jones. My father and I have studied it for the last year. I have also studied Ethiopia. And, I add quietly, the man who has been kidnapped is my father. But you're just a kid. I'm not a kid. I'm 14 years old, and I'm at the top of my class. I'm in excellent physical condition, and I've earned 16 Boy Scout merit badges, as well as my Marksman's Medal. Boy Scout badges, groaned Jones. Then, before I could reply, he held up his palm and said, "Okay, you win. But the first time you complain, I send you home." "I shall not complain, sir." "That's what I'm afraid of," muttered Jones. "Okay, let's look at our choices." Bending over the fragile map, I pointed to the 2 areas that were circled in red. If they're looking for the treasure, they might have taken him to Lalibela. It's an ancient site, and I know my father thinks that's where the treasure is hidden. "I disagree. I think there's more of a chance they took him to Addis Ababa," said Jones, pointing to the second circle on the map. "That's where the fascist headquarters in Ethiopia are." Where will our adventure go next? Lalibela or Addis Ababa? Tune in next week to find out. Tune in next week for the exciting continuation of Indiana Jones and the Lost Treasure of Sheba.